Hi, I'm Katie Crane, and this is the Pilates Lounge. Hi, everyone. My name's Katie Crane from the Pilates Lounge Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Pilates Lounge. In this episode, I'm speaking to another person who lives with fibromyalgia as part of our series of Fibro, so that as Pilates professionals, we can better understand the condition, so that in turn, we can better serve our clients who are living with this chronic condition. So I'd like to welcome to the show, Lourdes. I'm speaking to Lourdes all the way from El Salvador. Welcome to the show. I'm going to literally hand the microphone over to you. Just tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
So hi. Thank you very much for your invitation. Yes, I am living here in El Salvador. It's a very small country in Central America. And I am a Pilates teacher since more than 10 years ago. But I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia also in 2017 after a miscarriage that I had. I have 4 children, and 3 of them, the last ones, were high-risk pregnancies. And I had to be in bed during the whole pregnancy. So that makes me lose all my muscles and try to rotate them again every time. So in the last one, my baby is now 2 years old. So I am still building again the muscle and dealing with some pains and some discomfort. But I am doing this journey to deal with the chronic pain. So I love to help people to deal with chronic pain because I know what is suffering with that. So the main of my students is people who has chronic pain, lower back pain, neck pain, that they have some injuries that make them to avoid mobility because they feel so much pain. So my goal with them and with me is learn how to control the pain and how to live without feeling in depression all the time. Because, for example, the fibromyalgia is, I don't like to say that it's an illness, okay? Because when you think that you have an illness, that more limitations in us. So I think it's a condition, and the doctors don't know from where it's coming from. And I remember when I was diagnosed, the doctor told me, okay, you are a Pilates teacher. So what I can tell you is try to deal with this with exercise. Because you are young and I don't want to give you medication. Because that will make you feel more depressed and will give you the feeling that you are ill. And I don't want that for you because you have small children. So I started to discovering myself how the exercise can help me to feel every day better. But it's a constant living. It's something that we live with this. And at the same time, the exercise is a pattern that I have to do because I don't want to take a painkiller every day. And some days I tell my students, I understand people who have chronic pain because some days I don't want to get up from bed. Because the pain with the fibromyalgia is something that you cannot understand. It's something that makes you feel like you don't have energy for nothing. And if you sleep the whole day, you feel the same. It's not that you can rest and you will feel better. And in some conditions, this makes you, because you don't do exercise, because you don't know. So people feel like that, and taking the painkiller make worse the condition, and makes you feel more depressed. For some of them, they are taking depression medication, and that is worse. So what I try to do with me and with my students is to make a new pattern and try to deal with the condition with no painkillers and learning about our body, what is happening with our body.
And just wait for one moment. We'll use all of this, but can you hear that there's still that echo? So I'm just going to stop recording, and I think you just need to click on that echo cancellation, which is totally fine. We can use this. My producer will clip it, but I'm just going to stop recording. So tell me, you were diagnosed in 2017, yeah, and you've got a 2-year-old child now. What was life like up until then? Like, for how long have you had the symptoms of fibro before you were diagnosed? And what did that look like? You've got 4 children, so you already had children.
Yes, in the beginning, now it's better than in the beginning. I thought I was depressed. I had depression. I thought that. Okay, I'm depressed. I want to sleep whole day. But, I think have the children makes me wake up and do the things because I have the children. So, and we live alone in Qatar. We didn't have our family because I live in Qatar 15 years. And I was there with my husband and the children. So my husband went to work and I stayed with the children. So I start to think that maybe I am depressed because I am alone here. But when I was diagnosed, the doctor explained to me that the depression is part of the fibromyalgia, that I feel depressed all the time because that is what the fibromyalgia do. And for that, the doctors treat with depression's medication. So basically, I felt a lot of pain. I don't know if you in Australia has any illness. Here we have one illness that we call dengue. I have in Latin America, we have it, that is from the mosquito. Mm-hmm. That is a body ache that you feel all your joints hurts. So that is what we feel with the fibromyalgia, that all your body aches. It's like a heaviness and a painful. So you cannot do anything because you feel pain in your joints, you feel pain in your muscles, you feel stiff. So I thought maybe I am aging. I am getting older. And for that, I feel that. Or maybe because I have children, you feel that after every child. But then I start to see the other mothers don't have that. So it was very strange to see that in my case, I feel so difficult to do some things, some errands, because I want to be in bed all the time. So that is basically what I felt before I was diagnosed. And when I was diagnosed, the doctor explained to me that was the symptoms and that was normal, that I feel like that.
And how did that feel then? Because, I guess you go through life, your experience is very personal. Nobody else is having your experience. So you've got these symptoms, and we have dengue where I live. Like, I live in the tropics, so in tropical places in Australia, we have Ross River. I'm not sure if I got dengue here, but we go over to Indonesia, and you can get dengue over there. So we do. People are very aware of it here as well. But Ross River fever up in the Northern Australia is similar to fibro. So I do also know of people who thought they had Ross River, similar to dengue, but then it continues, right? And then eventually they get diagnosed with fibro. So how was that having three? So you had three children already when you were living with fibro?
I had, yes, three children already when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And yes, it's what I was telling you. It was difficult for me to understand why I feel like this. So maybe, for a while, I thought maybe it was postpartum depression, that maybe I had that. And for that, I felt in that way. That maybe with every pregnancy, I felt in that way and I didn't treat it. So it's the problem is the symptoms are so common with another symptoms of issues that we live, that if a doctor don't tell you, no, this is not depression, only depression. This is not only that you have stiffness. This is not only, because that was the problem, that I did exercise since I was very young. So the problem, it wasn't that I never did exercise. I did exercise my whole life, and why I feel pain when I do exercise, because sometimes I cannot walk because the pain. And sometimes I didn't want to, for example, to cook. I didn't want to cook because I feel pain. But because I had the children, that makes me feel, makes me gain energy from I didn't have. That was the truth. I thought, okay, I have to make things with them. I have to take them to the school. I have to do this. But it wasn't because I wanted. It wasn't because I had the energy. It wasn't because I want to spend time with them. And it was mainly because I knew that I have to do it. But some people that they don't know that they have this issue, they can be there in the bed the whole day or taking depression pills because they don't have any other way to deal with.
Mm. And so are you currently living with those symptoms? Like, what does life look like for you at the moment?
Yes. Right now, what I feel is, for example, that joint pain that I am telling you. So when it's too cold, I feel this joint pain that is like I am very heavy. I am very stiff, very heavy. So now I understand that I have to do exercise and that will improve the condition. Or when I feel depressed, when I start to feel depressed that I don't want to get up from the bed, that I feel that the life is awful because it's not something that you want, it's not something that you want to be depressed because you want. It's something that you feel is very strange. And what I do is do exercise. So now I understand I have to do exercise and that will improve. I have to do, also, I remember my doctor told me, you have to take supplements, vitamins, multivitamins, something. You have to take something because it's not that your body wants to be like that. So what I know now is if I feel like that, I take some vitamins, I do exercise, I try to go outside with the children, I try to go outside by my own to walk, see, now here in El Salvador, we have more nature. In Qatar was more desert. But for example, when I live in Qatar, I try to go to the desert. I try to go to watch the sea. And now here I have more the mountains nearby. I can go to walk and see the trees. But all of these things helps you to control the depression, to control what you feel. But still, I feel depression sometimes. I feel pain, chronic pain. So, I mean, pain that you don't want to move because you feel pain.
And okay, get them to call.
Don't worry.
And do you feel, when you say that sometimes you feel chronic pain and sometimes you feel depression, does one come before the other, or do you feel depression because of the pain, or does the pain come on from the emotions? How does it?
I think so. I think it's first the pain, the body ache, okay, the body pain or the headache, for example, or sometimes the heaviness. And after that, we start to feel depressed. I think it's coming first the pain and then the depression. But yes, because I think it's the depression, the pain is causing that we feel, oh my God, no, it's not possible that I feel like that. Yes, I think it's the depression after the chronic pain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine the pain is so debilitating that it's almost, it's psychologically debilitating as well. So it's this
Exactly.
cycle. Yeah. Okay. So
Yes,
then,
it's a cycle.
as an instructor, I mean, how do you manage teaching when you're living with this condition that is still affecting you? What does teaching look like for you?
You know, this is something interesting because when I took my certification of Pilates, I never thought to teach. And my husband told me, why you don't teach? Maybe you can help another woman that has the same problem as you. And I thought, and because I am an industrial engineering by career, so I never thought, yes, I studied in university, I finished the career, I am engineer, but I never thought to, what I wanted is learn to do perfectly the Pilates because I used to do Pilates and because I had pain, because in that time I had already fibromyalgia, but I didn't know. So I told to my husband, I will take a certification and I will learn how to do it properly because it's not normal that I feel so much pain. And he told me, okay, it's okay. So the thing is, when I started to study, because the other problem was in that time, my English wasn't so fluid. So I didn't want to teach because I had to learn how to express in English because I speak my mother tongue is Spanish. So I didn't want to put me in that effort to learn in English and teach in English. So I told my husband, no, I don't want to teach. But he makes me this small thorn in my heart that maybe you can help someone else that has the same as you. And that was the key. There I understand. And my teachers were so lovely, really. My teachers and my classmates, they were so lovely that they never bothered about my English in that time. And they helped me with my English. They gave me some keys to learn easily how to express in English. And it's when I start to love to teach, to see people. But for that, I love to help people who has injuries, who has a condition, because that makes me feel that I have a purpose here, that I can help them to feel better as I feel better now. And that is my motivation, I think, when I teach. Sometimes I don't want to get up and I don't want to teach. Now I have many students, but I teach basically online because we moved to El Salvador 1 year ago and still I work with them online. I have from like 10 nationalities. And so my aim with them is make them take control of their lives again. So that is my motivation every day. Sometimes I don't want to get up. And what I think is, okay, so I want to help this person today. I want to help him or help her to feel better. So that is what helps me to get up and feel also my children. But the teaching is a work. So I have to do it. And I have to do it with all my love and with all my passion. And that is what I like. to help them to feel better, because I like to feel better every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's super important. So would you say, when you've got this chronic condition, sometimes you're in pain, sometimes you feel fatigued, when you teach then, and because that gives you that sense of service to others, I suppose, and you're helping other people, does that improve your condition, or is teaching very fatiguing for you?
No, that is improving. Yes. How you describe it is what happened. Because when I start to help them, for example, I always start my classes asking them, how are you? How do you feel today? Where do you feel pain today? Okay. How was your day? Because the change of the timing sometimes for them is the night or the morning. So I ask them, how was your day? Or how is your day? How you wake up today? And when they start to tell me, so that makes me realizing myself. Okay, when I start to teach them, okay, we are going to find first the connection, okay, because the connection is very important. So we bring the pelvic floor, the belly button connection, core connection. So that makes me, in myself, at the same time, to start to do it by my own. And that makes me realize, okay, Lourdes, today you maybe didn't want to wake up, but we start to feel better. I start, for example, because I am always checking their posture. So I am not doing the exercise with them. I am checking them. So I start to think about my posture. I start to think, okay, where is my head? Where are my shoulders? Okay. Where is my core connection? How I feel today. And that helps me to feel better, give me energy, it makes me feel that I have energy to do the whole day.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, as somebody who lives with fibro, what does your own movement look like, and like what feels good for you as far as loading up, versus like I'm assuming that you probably do quite a bit of mat work because it's online, face to face online. So, do you feel like for your body, as somebody who's living with this condition, what does that look like as far as load compared to not loading, and kind of nervous regulation stuff compared to high intensity?
Yes. For example, if you have pain, and when I have pain, what is the main goal for me is to reconnect first. Reconnect with your mind, with your body, because we are in so much pain that we disconnect. It's like, okay, I have pain and I don't want to move. So my first goal is to bring you back. Okay. To avoid, for example, people who works 8 hours in front of a computer or 8 hours seated on a desk. Okay. I need to retake them on the floor, breathe, and forget about the work. Okay. So that, and for me, is the same. When I start to do my exercise during the day, I lay down on the mat, I breathe first. So the most important for me is the breathing to connect. Again, your brain, your mind, your soul, everything together. So I breathe, then I start with a connection. I like to start with the connection of your belly button first, okay? Because sometimes we think it's normal. No, it's not normal. The people don't use neither the belly button, neither the pelvic floor, neither the alignments. And when they are working, they forget about it. So I start with these basics connections. For example, feel the pelvic floor, breathing first. My first thing is the breathing. Then the pelvic floor connection, the core connection completely. Then start to move slowly, very slowly, that you can feel what is happening with your body, that you can feel what your body is telling you. Because our body talk with us, but we don't listen because we are so in a rush and we are so busy that we don't want to listen to him. And I start to tell them, okay, listen what he's doing, what he's telling you. Where do you feel pain today? Because it's not the same place every day. Could be that today you stay seated for a long time. so you have more pain on the hips today. Or maybe you were watching your phone for many hours or the computer. So you have this flexion forward. So maybe it's your neck, or maybe it's your upper back, or maybe it's your lower back. So I need that you connect again with your body and you allow your body to tell you, okay, I feel this. Because sometimes where we feel the pain is not the main issue. Sometimes what we feel is a reaction of the main issue. So for that, I start with that, with your connection that you feel, that you let your body tells you what happened.
That's so interesting, is that definitely seems to be a common thread with people that I've spoken to who in particular, who live with fibromyalgia and have found things that help them. Either they feel like they've either healed their body or they're able to manage their condition, is that whole sense of bringing awareness to your body. I guess it's that somebody else said that they do a lot of grounding work, so they go out in nature and spend time just being aware of their surroundings and I guess feeling gratitude for their surroundings. So there seems to be that common thread, which I find quite fascinating. And I really believe that is a big part of what Pilates is designed to do for us and for us to be able to share that with our clients. So I love that you found this. So you were, because you've been teaching for about a decade, you said, so you were already teaching before you were diagnosed. Is that right?
Yes. When I start to teach, let me think. My third child was 1 year when I take my certification. And then basically I study for 1 year or 1 year and a half, something like that. And then I start to teach. But I start to teach in the studio. Okay, there in Qatar. I start to teach in the studio. And then little by little, I start to take private sessions also. And then I start also, what I love to teach is the corporations. I start to teach, for example, people who likes to do exercise during the lunchtime. Here in El Salvador, I am now doing that here in this small country is a pioneer thing. It's a fabric that they make clothes, winter clothes for Canada, I think, or United States. I don't remember. And the company pay them the Pilates class. So they comes after the class, after the long journey of work, they come to the class. And it's the same. I try to teach them, okay, how do you feel today? Today, what you were doing, the same position, the same movement. So some of them, they come with the shoulders that they cannot move the shoulder because they have a lot of pain or stiffness there. And when they start to move, they feel the difference. So they feel that the exercise is helping them to mobilize again. So yes, I have like 12 years teaching, because in the beginning we have to teach when we are studying still, we have to teach to gain hours of teaching. And so yes, basically 12 years, something like that, teaching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool. So when you were in Qatar, you were using the equipment as well. And do you feel like for your body, does it feel better on the, is there any either or that feels better, like on the mat, or do you like that feeling of load as well? What would you prefer for your body? How does your body respond?
So I prefer in the beginning to listen our body and learn our body first. Okay. But when the people has constancy or has a pattern to do exercise or has long time doing exercise, I allow them to do, for example, reformer or the chair or things like that. But when they don't have the connection, I only use the props, okay, in the mat. during the mat workout. So the ball, the small ball, the big balls, the foam roller, the ring, because that helps me to understand what is happening with the body, because everybody's body is different. Okay. So it's not the same what you have that what I have. So I cannot use the same tools for you than what I use for me. So those props helps me to understand what is happening with your body, and to help you to understand what is happening and how you deal with that. So for example, with my students, I start with the small ball or with the ring, depends of what issue they have. And little by little, they start to buy their own props and they have it at home. They start to feel this helps me. I remember I have a student that her daughter starts with me after the mother. The mother started a long time ago. And I remember she go to visit her mother and I told her, yes, we can use the props of your mother. And when she feel the props, she told me, I love the big ball. I feel that helps me a lot with my back, with my posture. So the first thing that she bought was the big ball. So it's different for every person, but I always prefer the mat. Before the reformer, before the chair, before the Cadillac, I prefer always the mat because that will help you in your daily life. You are cooking not with a reformer. You are cooking with your body only, with a spoon. You are seated with a chair only. Okay. You are not seated in the reformer. You are not seated in a chair. So for that, I prefer always to teach them first mat. And some of them, they choose to do reformer after long time with me in the mat. And the teachers in the reformer, because I am not teaching reformer, I prefer the mat. So the teachers knows, they told them, did you do Pilates before on the mat? Because I can see your core connection. I can see your alignment. I can see the difference with the people that go directly to the reformer. So I prefer to teach mat first.
Okay, cool. And what about for your own body? Like, do you feel your body is capable of loading up very much, or does it respond better to the mat because there's not so much the load and you can feel into your own body? How's that for you personally?
So right now I have a huge change because I told you I have a baby a toddler now, 2 years old. She's just turning 2 years old. And I am still gaining strength. So I didn't go to the reformer yet. I am still on the mat right now for me, for my body. Because I am not only have fibromyalgia, I have an injury in my left knee and I have a small broken bone in my right hip. So for a while, I was limping from my left knee and from my right hip. And I remember I went to the doctor, to the orthopedic doctor, and he told me, you are so young. I cannot make any operation in you right now. So I know you are a teacher, a Pilates teacher. So I encourage you to try to find a way to deal with this with exercise. The injury in my knee was because I fell down twice with my babies when they were small, different babies in different timings. And I was carrying them and I fell down. Now I understand that when I fell down, because I don't want to hit them, I kneel and I hit my knees. So now I have that injury in my knee, is the left one. And for example, when I don't have the connection properly and I walk too fast, I feel pain. So I understand, okay, no, I have to connect, I have to realign, and I will improve the damage. So with my hip is another thing. I have the acetabulum, this small bone that we have in the hip. It's broken. I don't know. We don't know how I broke it. So the thing is, when I don't do exercise, I feel pain because the bone is like moving there and cause me pain. So what I need is build muscle there to avoid this friction. So is what I am telling you. I prefer the mat because I can deal with the pain easily. So I can know, okay, how far I can go. And until there, I return and I know little by little I will improve. So for me, sometimes I do weight also, but here with the Pilates. So the Pilates with the weight with control. So I use, but as much as use is 5 kilos, no more. But for my students, when they are start, I never use weight because it's more load. But in my case, that I know how my body behaves, I know already my body. I know that after the pregnancy, I lost everything, muscle, flexibility, mobility. So now I know how to deal with my body. So I know, for example, today I need a little bit of weight. Today I need a little bit of the ring. Today I need a little bit of the small ball to have stability. Today I need to stretch with a big ball. So every day I listen my body and I do the exercise according with what he's telling me that he needs.
Yeah, that's important. And so with everything that you know now, everything that you've learned about your own body and everything that I mean, we're always learning from other people. So, things that you learn from your clients, what if you could have a conversation with your younger self, so, before you found Pilates, before you found, all of these, the supplements that have been helping you, what would you say to your younger self when you first, were suffering before you had found what you found to help you? What sort of conversation would you want to have with yourself?
I will say myself first, don't worry about the appearance. Don't be slim, because that was my problem. I wanted to be slim. I wanted to be this skinny girl. And I damaged my body because I forced my body to go very far in range of movements. For that, I take my certification because I thought it's normal that when I do this movement, I feel so much pain. But before the Pilates, before I practice Pilates, I remember I did aerobics. I did steps. Do you remember the steps that in long time ago in the 90s, I think in the 2000 was so in fashion. Okay, I did a lot of them. I run a lot. And I hurt myself in that way. One day, talking with my doctor about the broken bone that I have in the hip, we were figuring out why. And because all of these things that I did. And that doesn't mean that we are not doing it anymore, but we can do it in a healthy way. We can do it in a wise way that we understand. I will say that to my young Lourdes. You know what? You don't need all of this. You don't need it. You need only to connect your body. Because I have one daughter that she's 17 years old and she is young, right? And I am telling her, if I had the knowledge that I have right now about the body, about the Pilates, about the exercise, about the muscles, I never did so many weird things, and I had better body. And I had better glutes, better boobs, better everything. But because in that time was fashion, I didn't care. And now you can see it. You can see a lot of things in internet that cause damage. In the gyms, I can see people doing in the gyms the wrong movements, and they think they are doing exercise. And it's concerning, really concerning, because they are young and they think that works. I would like to say to me, be more gentle with you. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how you look, doesn't matter. What matters is how you feel.
Mm-hmm. That's such an important message. Hey, it sounds like your whole journey has been one of discovering self-love for yourself, hey? And being able to then share that with
Yes,
other people.
exactly. that is what I learned. That is what I learned. That 15 years in Qatar, that makes me understand self-love, to learn how to listen to myself, that I have to prioritize, how do you say? To be first. That is my issue with my English sometimes, yes. So, to be first. Because if is when we travel, I like to. Do you know when the flight attendants say, before you put your mask, you have to put your own to your child. Before you put to your child the mask, you have to put your own. Now I understand. If I am not happy with me, if I am not taking care of me, if I don't understand to connect myself with my own soul, with my own brain, it's difficult to help other people. It's difficult to understand what happens with the other ones. So I think this journey, in my case, to discover myself helps me to understand the others and teach in another way also.
That's such an important message. Lourdes, thank you so much for spending time with me on the Pilates Lounge podcast today. I know that your story will be so well received, and it's so lovely. This is part of the reason I do this podcast, is so that I can meet people just like you on the other side of the planet, that we share a passion for something that is so fulfilling for us as educators, but also that we get to serve people all over the world. I always feel like if everybody in the world could experience Pilates, what a better place it would be. So I love knowing that you are in El Salvador sharing your Pilates with people, just like I'm in Australia sharing Pilates with my people. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Kate. Take care, and thank you for inviting me. Mwah. Have a nice, lovely day.
Amazing.